Well, let me make the introduction. Maura Yates.
Nice.
Thank you for joining us today. Um, you are here because I'm fascinated by your story. You've been in Villas del Mar for quite some time now. So when did you buy the first house?
You're gonna have to help me recall. I think we bought almost 7 years ago.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
So
right
you've been here a
before-
long time as a vacationer or as a second home here where you would come. And somewhere in that period, you sold that house, bought the new house, and you've made a commitment to move here. So how did that all happen?
We have. It's been quite a journey. I think the first time anybody comes to Cabo, you fall in love. You see the blue, the bright blue of the ocean and just the sun, and it just kind of hits you. And so we became addicted to coming here and spent a lot of time, and it became a really just special place. After spending a little time during COVID, we started to make more modifications to the house and really turned it into a house that we loved. And after spending a significant chunk of time, we were faced with this question. We have a 4-year-old daughter, and so we were faced with this question of what do we do about her education? And all of a sudden it hit us that as soon as she gets into kindergarten, you're kind of committed, you're committed to somewhere. And we weren't sure if Houston was the place for us. We weren't sure if it gave us the right opportunities for our daughter and the right exposure. And so her father and I both just kind of sat there and thought about places that would be neat to go to, and Cabo just came to mind. It's just a really almost like sacred place, It brings out the best of our family, it brings out the best of us individually, and it's paradise. And so it all just kind of worked out and was very serendipitous, and so we feel lucky to have made it.
But you didn't make it lightly, and I remember when you kind of made, or you were thinking very clearly about doing it, then you had to fill in all the blanks, like where is she going to go to school?
Yeah. There's a lot of details to actually moving, and it's not a simple life that we're moving. I've got a business that I run, employees. Her father has a business that he has. We've got a school and an education and a life and like a human to shape. And so it did take some time. Luckily, there's been a great amount of resources on other American parents who have gone to McGregor, and so we had a chance to reach out, speak with some of them. Everybody just spoke so highly of the school that was the driving cause and the driving principle. So understanding whether or not Iris could get into school, whether she'd be accepted, was the first kind of milestone to hit. We went through that in March, and luckily she was able to be admitted into this calendar year. And so after she was admitted, it was kind of real. We had to commit. The school was asking us for a commitment, and so that really held our feet to the fire. And when we sat down and evaluated what needed to be adjusted to enable life in Cabo, obviously school was the first thing, then our careers. And as a result of COVID, it gave us some flexibility and exposure to working remotely and how you stay dialed in with your team. And so we figured we could kind of do like a post-COVID world where you go work somewhere else and it works. And so those were the two big gating factors. Then of course our house sold. And so then we had the last minute fun of finding a new place to live, but that ended up working out really well too.
And you love your new house.
We love our new house. It ends up being like the right place for us to be all year. We really, really, really enjoy that space. So.
Now, just for the record, Iris is only 4, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so she's not a teenager or whatever. So, and I remember you telling me about the interview process that she went through to get in this school. And if you want to just share a little bit of that, because I found that fascinating, the interviews you had to go through.
Well, part of what prompted us to look here and look outside of Houston is that I was overwhelmed with the interview process of Houston. For those who come from the Texas area and know the private school life there, you essentially have to apply for a private school right when you get out of the labor and delivery room. And that was overwhelming. That was not the world I was used to. And so I felt a lot of pressure back in Houston to make the right choices, and was exposed to really elite schools there. And the curriculum is, next level. And so we had a lot of exposure to standards that we should expect. And so when we came down and saw McGregor and saw that a lot of those same curriculum standards are used, so it's a Montessori-based approach for Iris in the kinder programs. the same values in terms of developing humans and how they become contributors to society, and just the overall exposure to, math, science, the actual core subjects, reading, writing.
Language.
It was, yeah, language.
All of a
Yeah, I
sudden
forget
now,
the language. I forget the language. I
language.
mean, that's a huge piece of it. And so we were really impressed. And again, having been exposed to elite schools in Houston, I hold the Cabo school to a similar level.
Wow.
We're getting a lot of the same things out of that program, and for significantly less than the tuition at a lot of the Houston schools. So it made a lot of financial sense too.
And it's close by. You don't have a
it's
long commute. It's your minutes
It's
away.
easy. The staff is fantastic. So one of my concerns coming in as an American, my daughter's fluent in Spanish. Her father's fluent in Spanish. Her nanny's fluent in Spanish. I know very little Spanish. And so my concern was being a parent at a school and not knowing the native language. And Picacho McGregor really accommodates that. They've been fantastic. All the communication comes in dual language. The principal's been excellent. The staff's been excellent. They over-communicate, and I've just been really, really impressed with it. I was not expecting that, especially she's just in kinder 2.
Right.
I wasn't to your point, I wasn't expecting this at that age. It's a really high standard, and wasn't expecting that.
So she's been in school now 1 week?
1 week,
One
yeah,
week.
one
And
big week.
how's it going?
I mean, it's
how's
fantastic.
Iris, from Iris's perspective, I hear yours and it's glowing reports.
Yeah.
How is Iris doing?
She's super well adjusted. I mean, our first weekend here, she had a birthday party, and everybody from her class was at this birthday party. So we had the chance to meet all the other parents, all the other students, and it just felt like being at a party back in the States, very, very similar in terms of the friendly nature of the parents, the welcoming nature, and the kids. Kids are kids,
Right.
and so they assimilate really well. And she's loved it. She's come home from school every day exhausted, just from being engaged, and clearly her brain is tired. And so it's fun to see that, and she's excited to go to school every day. She's taking flamenco class. I did not expect to have a 4-year-old who could dance flamenco and speak perfect Spanish. It's such a neat opportunity to expose kids to.
Now, most people that are watching this that are in the US or whatever, they're thinking, first of all, I don't think they would think of the possibility of doing it. And to hear your glowing report and how life is good and the schools are great and Iris is happy and you guys are happy. I mean, in this time that we live in, which has so much aggravation and chaos and everything, I think people would be surprised to hear you talk about a school in Mexico.
I know.
That you're so glowing.
Well, so there's also an element of it that is important from a re-entry into the U.S. It is, again, a very competitive world, and Iris is being exposed to different things. It allows her to stand out. It allows her to be just different, and that's really important to us. And so, that's such a key piece of it, and the glowing kind of remarks on Cabo. I think what makes Cabo doable is it's really familiar in a lot of ways. It's familiar in the right ways. I'm not having to struggle to find certain key necessities or certain key comfort foods. I can get her snack pouches at the grocery store. So I've got elements of home that make that transition much easier than going somewhere, completely foreign. And so to me, it's this great way to have this international experience, but still have a lot of the familiarity. Plus, I'm 2.5 hours from Houston. It's faster for me to fly back to Houston than it was for me to fly from Houston to New York. So
Good point.
it's really convenient, and it's the perks of being in a different country with all the conveniences of the States that I'd like to maintain and keep. A lot of the conveniences I'm happy to leave in the States.
Well, you and Michael are super outdoors, active.
Yeah.
I see you every morning running,
Yeah.
and you have a bow, you spend time on the water, and you're at the beach club, and so you guys kind of absorb it all. I mean, you do all the activities that Cabo has to offer.
I think that's why Cabo was such an easy decision for us to make. If what drives us in life is to be the best version of ourselves and to live a happy life. And when we come here, that's what happens. You know, you're motivated to be really healthy. You want to be outside. You want to be outside. That's the answer.
I agree. I'm totally all about. I think that that's the best part. It's just a lifestyle.
It is.
You wouldn't be doing that perhaps in Houston.
No.
You know, the city doesn't lend itself to do that. It may not be safe. I mean, there's things that you just wouldn't do there that you're doing here.
Very much so. I was reflecting on the other day that in Houston it was 100 degrees and 100% humidity.
Raining.
And here it was 100 degrees and 80% humidity.
Right.
And why was I so happy to be outside here
Right.
all the time? Where in Houston,
You
I've been in the
dreaded
air
even walking
conditioning
out to the car.
I'm in air conditioning all summer. And the answer is because you want to be outside here. Like
Right.
I don't want to be inside. I want to be out by all that beautiful.
Yeah, you
beautiful
guys are
things that
very
surround us.
spiritual and grounded, and I know how much you enjoy all the outdoor stuff.
Yeah, and living in this neighborhood, it's fantastic in terms of just having access to that stuff. It's super easy
Yeah,
to
I agree.
live a healthy life. So
Yeah, it's hard to kind of tell that story to other people because they're just scratching their head while I'm telling this story about how
Yeah.
great it is to live here and the culture and the people and all that. And they eventually get it if they buy here, but it's not an easy, kind of understanding from the outside looking in. So.
and I think for a lot, it's probably hard to comprehend living in a vacation spot, like
Right.
living
Having vacation
perpetually,
every day.
yeah, like a perpetual vacation. And there are elements of that. That's what makes Cabo beautiful. The
No,
reason
I
you love to
totally-
vacation here, you still love that when you live here. So.
Well, it is a mega trend right now. The last 4 or 5 homes that I've sold are to people this is going to be their primary home. They're leaving the U.S. for a multitude
Yeah.
of reasons, but I think safety, security, just the chaos and, the politics and just all of that just grinds on people.
Yeah.
And so coming here, their blood pressure goes down and their quality of life goes up and they're
Totally.
happier, as like you said. So I've actually, Cabo was just a vacation destination
Yeah.
one time, and now this trend of people actually living here. So it's catching on, and so maybe more people hear about your story. They're gonna think harder about coming. But
It's such an easy place to adapt to, and it brings you so much positive
Joy, yeah.
Yeah, like why not? You
Yeah.
know.
Well, you've said all the glowing
Yeah.
things. Was there a challenge? Was there something along the way that was like, oh, we didn't see that coming, or we didn't think about that, or was there any negative thing, one thing you can think of?
I mean, yeah. I think the downside is we arrived in August, and your first 2 months here, you're like, oh,
Is this ever going to
this
end?
is this is hot. But at the same time, you're still outside all day, and
Right.
it's a nice chance to be here with just the locals. I mean, you have earned your stripes if you've lived in Cabo for August and September. Like, you are no longer a tourist.
Right. That's true.
You've lived.
That's
so,
true. You're a local.
Yeah.
Almost.
We hope to
You're getting
to
there.
earn that. Yeah. We hope to embrace the community.
So not one thing you can't, other than I guess it's hot. You say that in August and September it's going to be hot.
For us, it probably wasn't as challenging because we were super familiar with it. The logistics of actually moving and thinking through what do you need. So for me, it was thinking through like, okay, do I have enough medicine to get me long enough to find my doctor here? And so it was just some of those logistics.
And
but
have you connected those dots? Do you have a doctor here you like? Are all those pieces falling in place?
yeah, we're so fortunate to have such a good expat community here that has wonderful referrals. I can text 2 people and they can give me everybody that I need, and it's fantastic. And
You're
then
getting
they're
a lot
vetted.
of support.
Yeah, it's great. So yes, we found the doctors. You found the person to go to for your hair. You found your local
Right,
support
provider,
team.
right.
Yeah, and to your comment earlier around more people moving here, I think one of the things we really love is that a lot of the noise is gone. So why is it that my weekends here are so much less busy than my weekends in Houston? And it's because you fill, like at home in Houston, I was just filling the time with other things. Like, I've got to go to Target and pick something up for the house, or you're running errands. That doesn't exist here. There's not as much focus on that here.
Right.
And so you don't get caught up in the same rat race of running around, and people here really make their day and prioritize their day around being outside and enjoying Cabo.
Being present.
Yeah, and it's such
And
a
then
nice.
there's no real competition about, you know, what you wear
No.
or what you drive or any of those things.
Yeah.
It's super casual, flip-flops,
Yeah.
T-shirts. Of course, Michael fits right in. That's his
He does the surf vibe.
the
Yeah.
surf vibe. So, well, when you talk about, you know, being here, is you also have, like you said, you've got a business. So are you traveling back and forth to Houston? How, are you telecommuting? I mean, how are you staying connected to your business?
Clearly, I have blocked out a part of my challenges because I should have answered your question differently before in terms of challenges. The biggest challenge I have is adapting my work life to fit life here. Personal life has been very easy to adapt. The work life has just required more intention and more, much more focus on how to make it work. So specifically, I've got an electricity company, we're a commodity shop. As a result, time is really important to us. When the market opens, you need to be at your desk and you need to understand where the market is. And so the time change of being Pacific is an impact. And so for me, I used to take Iris to school and then go to the office. Here, I'm out of the house by 5:30 or 5 in the morning to get to the office, but I'm home by 1 or 2 to pick her up from school. And so it just takes some
even
adjustment.
That is still a kind of a plus.
Totally, it's fantastic, you know. And if I need to work a late night and work, you know, 5-6 hours after work, all of a sudden I'm only working till 8 p.m. instead of you know the late
midnight.
hours.
Yeah, no, I totally
So
get that.
I've had to shift that around, and that's been my personal adjustment. For my team, COVID was a really big blessing in a lot of ways. Yeah, because everybody's been through it before. It's not this novel idea of you're working remotely. And we're a team of 10. We have some of our team.
Did they go to the office or are they home?
That's a whole different podcast episode of how we manage going back to the office. We haven't quite mastered getting everybody back in there. And so it was, you know, I guess now I lead the charge of I can't require everybody back in the office because I'm not back in the office. But we've adapted and it's fantastic. What it's required is that our team communicate way better. And we already learned that lesson. We were already learning that lesson. So we've adapted. I go back to Houston every couple weeks for 2 or 3 days. Again, it's a 2.5-hour trip. I'm through customs and I am door to door, sometimes in 5.5 hours, which is amazing. Like that's amazing. And then my favorite thing is to remind my team that now they have a business write-off to come visit me. Like if you guys want to come down for a meeting, like you've got a business cause. So
there's a lot of good in all of that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So
So what does the future look like? I mean, if you blink, you know, 5 years from now and Iris is now, you know, in 4th grade or whatever, what does all that look like?
Well, she's flamenco dancing, I hope. You know, I hope we're just more in the community here. We were chatting before sitting down around just the community of San Jose and the neat things that are going on there. The focus on the entrepreneurial art world and the culture that lives there. And it's just interesting. Like you feel like you can actually be part of that community.
Onion.
Yeah.
You keep peeling back and you discover something new and great.
Beautiful. And the level of sophistication is so much more sophisticated than I expected. And so you want to get involved in that and you want to embrace it and see how you can contribute. And I just am excited about that. Like there's just so much to tap into. Yeah, you start thinking about the business ideas too, like, oh, okay, you know. So yeah, hopefully we're just more in the fabric of the community and hopefully I can speak Spanish by then.
Me too. I don't do it either and I need to do it. Maybe we can take lessons together, but
make people speak.
It just doesn't, I'm not absorbing it very quickly. Let's just say that.
Me neither. Me neither.
Well, I was really, really looking forward to having this conversation. You have really, really, really informed me. I've been here a long time and these are topics, I don't have kids, so these are new topics to me. I thank you so much for taking, I know you're very, very busy. You have a lot of balls in the air and I appreciate you coming. It was fun. It was fun for me and I hope it was for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for doing it.
Yep, thank you.